AWS サミット東京2015へようこそお越しいただきました。Day2 オープニングキーノートの開演です。Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Amazon Web Services AWS Mobile VP Marco Argenti.
Good morning, and welcome to the Day 2 of AWS Summit 2015 in Tokyo. It is absolutely great to be here. And also thank you for the incredible attendance to the summit. We have over 13,900 registrations for the summit and over 4,000 participants in day one. Thank you for that. And please continue to enjoy the summit with the great content for all our over 50 customer speakers and 90 breakout sessions that you can see throughout the day today, and also the 40 partner exhibitors in our exhibit space that are providing great innovative solutions on top of AWS. I also want to particularly thank and join me in a big round of applause for yesterday's winners of the IoT Hackathon, which showed some really incredible creativity of a mix of quality, innovation, and also business ideas coming together. And we announced last night the two winners, a company called Dynamo and a company called ClickIt. So I really want to thank them for your great innovation, and I want you to want you to continue helping innovate and push our platform further. Thank you for that. Thank you. As usual, you can interact during the presentation. I really encourage you to tweet with the hashtag AWS Summit. And also tonight, we're going to have a session of the Jazz UG Tokyo tonight at 1900, so at 7 p.m. You can join us right next door in the exhibitor space. And of course, last but not least, I really want to thank our sponsors that really made possible to put together such a great event. Sponsors ranging from local companies to global corporations. It would be not possible without them, so thank you for that. Thanks for your sponsorship. We have a lot of content today, so I'm going to get right to it. Starting from 9 years ago, in 2006, Amazon was already running a multi-billion-dollar business with Amazon.com and operating one of the most scalable and global infrastructures at the time. And so we thought to take really a challenge to take it to the next level and offer it to a new class of customers, developers and enterprises, and really help them innovate and accelerate the pace of their innovation. And so today, Amazon Web Service is running the largest and most scalable infrastructure in the world with 11 regions. And I want to remind that a region for us is a zone, an area with multiple data centers. Unlike some of our competitors who like to call a region a single data center, we call a region a collection of data centers to having robust, redundant, and resilient applications. 30 availability zones and 53 edge locations where you can operate your content and consume the content at the edge of the internet for maximum speed and minimum latency. Speed of innovation is critical for a company to remain competitive. And we want to help any company benefit with our rapid pace of innovation, making more and more services and features available at their fingertips every year. And so as you can see, the rate at which AWS has been releasing new services and features have been accelerating over the years. For example, in 2012, we released over 159 new services and features. In 2013, that went to 280, and last year, we released over 500, for being precise, 516 new features and services. So not only we're keeping a rapid pace of innovation, but we're actually continuing to accelerate on that. And today, AWS offers over 40 services and more functionality than any other infrastructure provider. We have our infrastructure, like I mentioned, with 11 regions and availability zones and 53 edge locations. And on top of that, we have our classic core services with compute, with storage, both block storage and file storage, and the database services with both relational database and NoSQL database. And then moving up the stack, we're offering services for big data and big data analytics, running your Hadoop cluster in the cloud in a managed way, storing data in your data warehouses with Redshift, and also being able to move data around with data pipeline, and also, of course, with our highly successful Kinesis product. And app services, for example, to run workflows or to do transcoding, to do your email, to do search. And then, of course, a very rich set of developer tools and operations, which start obviously from our console, where you can access the control plane of our services with one click. And then, of course, increasingly important and increasing focus on DevOps and tools to make it easy to also manage your workloads and your development process end-to-end more efficiently. We have a whole layer of enterprise applications that further on my colleague Gene is going to talk to you about. And those are also extremely important to make sure that your company and your enterprise is operating in a modern, in an efficient, and of course in a competitive way. And of course, our marketplace, which contains thousands of applications from global providers and from local providers that you can deploy with one click. They're already optimized to run on our AWS cloud and really expand the possibilities of what you can do and what you can leverage to run your enterprise or your application on the cloud. And really, more and more, when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to IT services, when it comes to cloud services, customers really want to go with the best out there. They want to go with what is going to get them more competitive, is what's going to get them to innovate faster. And so they're seeking the most functionality. They're seeking the largest customer and partner community, and also our own people services, such as our professional services organization and our solution architect organization that are really there in the field, working with you every day and really helping you either create new workloads or migrate your workloads or start with a cloud-only strategy, no matter what your deployment and strategy and timeline is. And of course, the longest experience in cloud services in the market. You might have heard Andy Jassy say that several times, but there is really no compression algorithm for experience. We learned a lot in 9 years, and that is something that you can benefit every day when you're using AWS services and really making sure that every lesson that you learn, every lesson that we learn, you don't have to learn it yourself. We have over 1 million active customers, and the way we define an active customer is a customer that is not affiliated with Amazon and has used AWS services in the last month. And this number, as you can see, is accelerating, and it really includes companies from the smallest startups to the largest corporations in the world in essentially every sector. let's see how some of our customers are running their business on AWS, and with that, I will actually introduce a short video for you.
一番端的に言えるのは導入に対するリードタイムが非常に短いというですね、約2ヶ月ぐらいで、構築ができたというところは非常に大きいかと思います。かなりのその顧客設定が多様化している中で、しっかりとデータをリアルタイムに取ってきて、でなるべくリアルタイムにお客さんとコミュニケーションするっていうことをやるっていうのがやっぱ僕はオムチャンネルだと思ってますので、もう我々がチャンネルを選んでコミュニケーションする時代は終わってますから、それを瞬時にやっていくっていう意味でもバックエンドはクラウド化されたものでですね、大量のデータをしっかりと短期間に分析できると。
AWS 採用の背景なんですが、明日にでも新しい分析の基盤が必要だなと強く感じたっていうところが大きな背景になります。手元にある自社のポスデータを使って、BI のツールにつなげるといったところまで、これ2日でできると。
モバイル向け、スマートフォン向けの事業を展開するにあたってですね、非常に多くのユーザー様からアクセスをいただくときにですね、これまでの環境よりもより良い安定した環境を求めてですね、AWS さんの導入を決めたという経緯があります。
スタートアップっていうのは使えるお金がかなり限られていますので、お金をですねかけずにサーバーを選ぶっていう点でもはや AWS ぐらいしかもう選択肢がないんじゃないかということで、そもそも他の選択肢はないというふうに言い切れるんじゃないかと。
Great. Those are great examples of companies innovating and operating their business with the help of AWS, and in particular, Ryohin Keitaku, which is, of course, a very well-known brand for goods and clothes in Japan, is using our big data analytics products for analysis of basically their customer engagement across multiple channels. Or the Skylar Group, which is a major restaurant chain, also using data analysis and analytics products for monitoring the performance of their campaigns. And of course, Gung Ho Entertainment, which is a leader in gaming, using AWS infrastructure and Wantedly, a leading recruiting matching application that is also leveraging AWS for making sure that their application scales and also every day innovates as fast as they possibly can. And of course, that engagement with customers happens through their very successful mobile apps, like the Muji Passport app, or the Gusto app, or the Puzzle and Dragon was one of the games from Gung Ho, and of course the mobile app Wantedly. And this is very interesting because we see that every day when we walk around, that today actually mobile is the start of the experience for most customers today. So when we say mobile first, it's not only an enterprise strategy, but it's also the way customers are using and are interacting with your customers today, with your companies today. Mobile is central for engaging with your customer, and therefore, you need to guarantee the best possible experience on mobile. And AWS has helped the most successful mobile companies in the world really innovate rapidly and also scale, and a global scale, in the shortest time possible. We have great examples of course, the most successful mobile companies in the world, such as Yelp, or such as Airbnb, or Pinterest, or Flipboard, and also great local companies like the ones I mentioned, like Muji Passport, or Gusto app, or for example, Wantedly and Snapdish, and so forth. Every day, there are thousands of new mobile applications that are born and they grow on AWS. And In addition to our core infrastructure services, such as storage, such as compute, such as edge services, in the last year, we started offering a set of new services which are specifically designed for mobile. They're specifically designed for mobile developers to shorten their development time and achieve the most application quality possible. I always tend to ask two questions to developers. One is, what makes your app unique? And I get generally a list of very cool features. And then when I ask the second question, which is, where are you spending your time? Sometimes I get a different list, for example, in building infrastructure. And we want to take that undifferentiated heavy lifting away and make sure that when I ask those two questions, I get one answer, which is, we're spending time, we're spending our precious development time where it matters the most, which is your differentiation. So AWS today offers 5 mobile services. Some of them, like Lambda, have also applicability beyond mobile. Amazon Cognito, which was launched last year in July, together with Amazon Mobile Analytics. Our mobile SDK that keeps evolving. Our SNS with push notification capability. And of course, the latest addition to the family, AWS Lambda. Those mobile services come together into a mobile SDK available for iOS, for Android, and also for JavaScript or for mobile web, giving you access to all the core AWS services, including the mobile services, directly inside your app as local methods. So you don't need to worry about connectivity, you not need to worry about how to communicate with your backend. We take care of that for you, thanks to the mobile SDK that AWS offers. And also, the mobile SDK is optimized to access our core cloud services in a way that is really friendly to the mobile environment. And when I say that, I mean it's really conscious about, for example, network speed, battery consumption. We also optimize the way we manage connections, and we also make sure that your app keeps working when you don't have an internet connection, which is something that happens frequently and actually multiple times a day for many users, especially, for example, when they travel from place to place, et cetera, when they roam between Wi-Fi or cellular and so forth. So really, the mobile SDK, think of that as not only your access to the AWS services, but also a way to optimize the usage of AWS services specifically for mobile. We kept evolving and adding new and new functionality to the mobile SDK. For example, we recently announced that this is like in the last few months, in 2015, we announced the mobile SDK support for Unity, which is a great and leading gaming platform. We added support for machine learning, which is more and more important, especially for big data applications like the Internet of Things. We added Lambda support, the ability to call Lambda directly from your mobile app, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. And there are several customer examples of great use of the mobile SDK, and I'm just mentioning one here, Sega Hardlight, that is using the mobile SDK to stream data from the mobile applications to the AWS backend through Amazon Kinesis. So let me run quickly through the various AWS mobile services and really what's the benefit to you as you build a mobile app for your company. You build an application for your end customers, or you build a business-to-business application, or you build a business-to-employee application. We really support all the major use cases. One of the major use cases is, of course, how you manage your users. And Cognito really helps taking a lot of the complexity out of the way you manage very fundamental functions, such as, for example, authentication, identity management, identity federation. In addition to that, Cognito helps your app and your users' data be synchronized across multiple devices. So, for example, you can stop, for example, reading news on your iPad, and when you go out, you find basically the bookmark in the same place in your mobile phones. Or you can stop, for example, playing a level of a game in a device, and then you're going to find basically the place where you left in another device. But there are many, many applications also in the enterprise world where it's really important that your data, and especially the data about your usage of the app, is kept synchronized across devices, and it's also conflict resolved, meaning that your usage is always consistent across devices, and your data is always consistent across devices. And of course, Cognito makes it really easy to apply our security best practices when it comes to connecting to AWS by automatically issuing short-term, short-lived temporary credential with only the granular access that you need in order to access the services that you need from your mobile application. Amazon Cognito keeps evolving. And this year, we added support for Twitter and the Twitter digits as new federated authentication methods. We also, and this is, I think, really, really relevant, added the ability to call a lambda function as a result of a synchronization of data. So every time the data is synchronized, your lambda function can process the data and, for example, can spot errors in the data, or can transform the data as it moves from device to device. You can think of many applications that really are data-centric, meaning that data triggers compute in a sort of a little inversion of the traditional three-tier model. We'll talk about this change of architecture a little bit later on in the presentation. And of course, the Kinesis streams, the ability to directly from a mobile device to stream data through Kinesis and then land it in your favorite storage place in AWS. And we really optimize that so that your data consumption, your connection management is really optimized for mobile. Atari is a great use case for the use of Cognito and Cognito Sync. And in this particular case, the customer really wanted to be able to intercept and verify and optimize and conflict resolve, and really making sure that the data integrity is guaranteed across all your devices for their fitness application. Continuing on, now you have data about your users, you have a great product to manage it and keep it consistent, and now you want to do further analysis on the behavior of your users. You want to know how your users are interacting with your app. And here's where Amazon Mobile Analytics comes into play. Amazon Mobile Analytics is fully integrated with the SDK and gives you a lot of the vital statistics for your app that are really essential today when you're running a mobile business. You want to know your monthly active users, you want to know your daily active users, you want to know how sticky your service is, how many times your customers come back, and what's your retention for your mobile app. You might want to track custom events, like clicking on a certain UI element or flipping a certain page. So you can actually integrate your own custom event and analyze them and aggregate them and visualize them together with the out-of-the-box metrics that we provide. Two things I want you to remember about Amazon Mobile Analytics. One is, it's fast. There's nothing more frustrating than for a developer to actually have to wait sometimes even up to a day before they can see how users are actually interacting with their app. And Amazon Analytics gives you your data, gives you your metrics within an hour. And data, of course, is one of the most precious assets of a company. And Amazon guarantees that the data is yours. We do not mine it, we do not sell it, we do not use it for advertising. It's yours, it's secure, and you can analyze it, and you can improve your business based on that. 2015, we launched quite a bit of new features for Amazon Mobile Analytics, and one of the most requested features that we had, which was launched earlier in the year, is the ability to export data from mobile analytics back and directly to S3 and Redshift. We added Unity SDK support, which is extremely important for games. So you really want to apply analytics to your game. You want to see how your customers are reacting. And then, of course, JavaScript SDK support, because it's more and more common that we see both hybrid applications or mobile web applications. We want to make sure that our tools are available regardless of the platform. Again, on the export of the data, Amazon Analytics integrates natively with Redshift, with S3. We run all the workflow in the background so that your setup is extremely simple. It's just a matter of a few clicks, and your data is streamed from the application to Redshift, where you can run a number of visualization tools. We have great partners on visualization space, like you can see on the slide, such as Tableau and Qlik and MicroStrategy. And also, this allows you to merge your data, which you might have, for example, to transform a geo coordinate into an address. So you can have all sorts of ways to augment the data that comes from the device with the data that is streamed from your app, and then you can analyze basically correlation and draw conclusions by the analysis of your data sets. We have great customers using our analytics to improve their business. For example, LifeSum actually wrote a very nice blog, and we have recently about the use of mobile analytics and how easy it is to integrate. And Football Addicts is a very interesting case. It's arguably the most successful football application in the world. And in this particular case, they wanted to understand what was the optimal frequency of push messages sent to customers. Because they knew that sending too few messages would actually hurt adoption, but then too many messages would cause churn. So they use Amazon Mobile Analytics and Redshift to A/B test different frequencies to find what's the optimal frequency by cluster, because that varies by customer segment, by country, even by device, and then find what's the optimal frequency to optimize mobile push for each of their customers so that they can maximize conversion, so that they can grow their business. This is a great example of how the use of tools is actually translating into direct business benefit for a company. SNS is an extremely successful product in the mobile space, sending over 10 billion push notifications per week and growing. And it's also extremely easy to integrate. And we kept iterating that over the last few years, and since launch, which was about a year and a half ago, we recently added delivery status and additional metrics on the delivery of messages through CloudWatch. And also, again, a very highly requested feature, the ability to run a lambda function every time you are publishing a message to SNS. So you can, for example, personalize the text of the message, or you can filter the message. You can use SNS to trigger a specific workload. So again, think about this. Message and then compute. So we're inverting the paradigm. Data-driven and then event-driven when it comes to compute. And also we made improvements to our console experience by listening to developers, and we're working really closely with our developers to learn from our customers every day and using that learnings to improve our products. We have several customers that are running their business on SNS when it comes to interacting with their customers, when it comes to push notifications across iOS, across Android, across desktop even, across Windows Phone. And I like to quote or Arbel from Yo that is really saying that the use of SNS has been really of great help to build and grow their mobile applications. And another fantastic case is Path, which is a company, one of the most successful social networks in the world, a company from San Francisco, has been recently acquired. And this company is really massive global reach. Over 5 million daily active users across tens of countries and creating billions of monthly impressions. And what's interesting about Path is how they onboarded onto SNS, going in 3 days, completely self-service, from 0 to over 500 million messages a day and growing. And this really fast ramp up, it's something that, of course, might have taken weeks or months if they did it with, their own internal infrastructure. Sometimes, it takes a long time to scale it to order servers, but thanks to the cloud, thanks to the auto-scaling nature of the cloud, you can go from very small workloads to massive workloads in a matter of days or minutes. And of course, every mobile developer knows how important it is, because for mobile and for mobile developers, very often, success comes very suddenly and very unexpectedly. You get featured on an app store, you can go from 0 to 10 million users in a day. And then, therefore, you need an infrastructure that can really scale with you. Let's talk a little bit about AWS Lambda. AWS Lambda is our new compute service, which we like to call an event-driven compute service. What does it mean? That your workload doesn't run all the time, only runs when it's needed. And the trigger for running the workload is what we call an event. For example, publishing a message on SNS or putting data onto S3. Again, imagine the data layer that drives the compute layer. And of course, the trigger of events can happen from several events from several services within AWS or from your own application. And having this data-first approach allows you to transform the data, for example, before it reaches your application, or perform auditing on the data before it reaches your application, or transform data from the backend before it reaches your application. You can kick off workflows, you can replicate data, you can do a lot of things that are basically compute-driven and event-driven, but first and foremost, they act on your data, and they come from in interaction with your customers. And this is something that you can have with absolutely zero infrastructure to manage. What does that mean? That you can focus on your code. You don't have to manage any capacity, any scaling, any deployment, any monitoring, any logging. We do all that for you. So that, as I said at the beginning, when I ask you where you're spending your time, your answer is, I'm spending my time where it matters the most, which is the most differentiating features of my application. And the change in architecture comes with a change in business model. And the change in business model is very fine-grained, very atomic pricing. First of all, you only pay when your app is running. You don't pay for idle time. And you pay in increments of 100 milliseconds. And there is no minimums. You can only pay when your app runs. And there is no per device fee. And this is extremely useful as we see more and more workloads on the Internet of Things space, where the number of devices that are managed can be in the billions. And of course, some of those devices are going to process data and are going to respond to data maybe a few times a day. And you don't want to pay for when the device is sitting idle. That's what I mean by change of business model that follows a change in architecture. And so customers are using Lambda today in a variety of very, very creative ways. For example, creating data triggers to transform data. For example, transforming an image when it's dropped into S3 into thumbnails that can be visualized in devices with different resolutions. We have several IoT cases, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, but really trying to respond to events that are originated by physical things. Anything. It could be a coffee maker or a washing machine, or it could be a button, or it could be a smartphone. Every time there is a user interaction, there is an event, and then you can trigger your code in response to that event. Indexing, synchronization, auditing, you can do a lot with Lambda. And one of the most recent things that we announced last month, actually, is the ability to use Lambda to build your mobile application backend with no infrastructure to worry about and in a very, very modern way. Data first, event-driven, stateless, very, very fine and granular billing and business model. And so we have some great customers using Lambda today for some of their most critical workloads. For example, Thomson Reuters that really creates content in real time based on incoming news and images. Again, imagine this flow of data coming first, events being generated, compute being triggered in order to process the data. NativeX for real-time log processing for prediction-based analytics. Great example, Vivint Solar, who is one of the largest installers of solar panels. And what they do, they have technicians actually taking pictures of the installation site, and they're automatically creating thumbnails of various resolutions for various purposes, for inspections, for auditing, for fine-tuning, and so on and so forth. And Comply is a company that does real-time processing of inbound traffic that comes from a wide range of social media platforms, and that can be used, for example, for marketing reasons or for compliance reasons, and so on and so forth. And this is really something that I want you to take home with you, which is Lambda is not just a serverless compute service. It's actually something that incentivizes you as a developer to use a new, more modern approach to how you build mobile backends. You're using a two-tier architecture. You're breaking your monolithic applications into small functions that can be run independently. You can achieve massive scale by making your functions stateless. And then you can respond to events. Your application, through the mobile SDK, sends events to your backend at every customer interaction and sends the context at which those events are happening. For example, the type of phone and the screen resolution or anything that has to be related to essentially the device on which you're using your application. And therefore, with that knowledge, coming as part of what we call the event payload, so it's metadata that comes with the event, you can make decisions in your code, and you can make sure that your app and your backend really adapts to the specific device, so your application and your experience is really optimized for your device that you're using. And we're really tying together all the services in AWS as what we call event sources. So things that you do in there, for example, putting data into Kinesis, streaming data into Kinesis, or putting data into S3 inside a particular bucket, or for example, doing a sync in Cognito, or sending a message in SNS. They all generate events that you can associate to code that runs in response of that. So your backend becomes very scalable, very economical to operate, very timely, and very customized to your device. I mentioned the newest event sources for Lambda, for example, SNS. And the way it makes it really easy to target, to route, to transform, to filter, or to audit messages. You can simply trigger an AWS Lambda function by sending a notification. It's very powerful. And also, you can turn CloudWatch alerts into actions, so you can respond to those alerts in real time with code that is specific to that. And your teams can iterate on each Lambda functions without having to touch or to change the entire application. That's one of the advantages of breaking a big applications into small pieces. I mentioned the way Cognito integrates with Lambda through events. You can easily synchronize data across devices and then taking action when data changes. There is an update, there is a user action. For example, you're entering data into a form, you want to validate, you want to, for example, check a coordinate that becomes an address, check if an address is valid. You can generate an event. The payload is going to contain what kind of device, you can put location in the event, and then your Lambda function is going to process that event, process the data, send it back to your app. All this with methods that are native to your application in iOS, in Android, or in JavaScript, or in Unity. It's been rapid iteration on Lambda in 2015. We went, what we call GA, general availability of Lambda was announced at the end of April in our San Francisco summit. And this year we added a number of new features such as CloudTrail integration, such as CloudFormation custom resources, the ability to discover and take actions with free metrics, and also automated logging with time-based sorting. So, but the most important message is we've been working really closely with our customers, with our preview customers, with our beta customers, and with our production customers to listen, to learn, and then to adapt the product and iterate the product really, really rapidly. And coming soon, it's already available today, so don't be shy to try it, but it's coming soon in its general availability form, is the support for Java workloads. So we'll really make it even easier to run a Java-based Lambda function with really built-in support within AWS Lambda. So we're expanding also the number of languages that are supported. Today we have JavaScript, and Lambda is and Java is available to our preview customers. We're going to launch it soon. We're planning to launch more and more languages in the future. And today, we're announcing the availability of Cognito and of Lambda in our Japan and Tokyo region this summer. Thank you. I know that this is going to make a lot of our friends, developers here really, really happy. Thank you for your support. Lambda and DynamoDB and a lot of our services that I talked about, they really go beyond just mobile. It's not only mobile first, it's actually product first. You interact every day with products that are starting to connect to the internet. And what's interesting is what does not change. What does not change is the need for the most scalable infrastructure. You, as a developer, might have to deal with 2 orders of magnitude more devices or even more. All the advantages that I talked about, the cornerstones of scalability, when you're writing an application for IoT, are the stateless nature, the fact that you need to respond to events, and the business model that is really optimized for devices that can be present in the billions and not necessarily operate all the time. So you don't want to pay for when you don't need it. And so these 3 elements coming together in this architecture that more and more customers are using is enabling more and more use cases for Internet of Things today, from products that range from industrial products to customer products to our own products in Amazon, such as Dash and Echo. And in AWS today, we can work with you, provide the reference architecture for IoT, as some of the most successful companies have done already. For example, Dashley or Tata Motors, that is embedding units in each truck to monitor their fleet for compliance, for optimization of routes, and Illumina, which is possibly the largest DNA sequencing company in the world, creating really millions of data points from their sequencing machines and then processing them in the cloud. Or of course, Belkin, their intelligent consumer devices for example, home automation. Those are great examples of workloads that are running today, IoT workloads that are running today on AWS, really leveraging the richness of feature, the scalability, and also the convenience of the business model and the pay-per-use models that we always apply. An example is Dashley that connects to the OBD2 port in your car with an IoT device, collects vehicle and location information data every 1 to 4 seconds, streams it to Kinesis, and then processes that in real time in the backend with DynamoDB, with S3, and then sends it back to your application, monitoring 30 unique data points about your car that you can see on your mobile application. And that generates over 1 terabyte of data per day. And it's just the beginning. And DynamoDB, thanks to its performance and its scalability and low latency, is really a key central product for Internet of Things, for mobile, and for essentially any workload. And for that, I would like to invite on stage my colleague and friend, Eugene Kawamoto, which is Senior Manager of Business Development for DynamoDB.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kawamoto from AWS. Now, all of a sudden, do you know of Swiss Army knife? It was invented in 1881, and it's widely used by the consumers and homes. And it has a lot of convenient functions. Not just the knives, but wine openers and the can openers, all in one. This Swiss Army knife is very similar to relational database. Relational database has been announced as a paper 40 years ago, and it's a database which is very popular even today, and it offers a very convenient functionality, analytics, the simple query and join, transaction, and so forth. Everything all in one tool. However, this Swiss Army knife and this relational database, there is one common challenge. Yes. In fact, it's very difficult to scale. Swiss Army knife, for instance, in order to cut something bigger, it's difficult to scale. And relational database, if you want to add the functionality, the more functionalities, and process more, it's difficult to scale. The operational cost and the management cost would add up. Amazon.com had started in 1994 as an e-commerce site. And many systems have been using the relational database. In the rapidly growing business, to manage this relational database has been very difficult. According to the increase in the traffic, you need to replace the relational database, and each time you have to buy a big server. And those servers you buy, you implement. And the real time, this server needs to be procured, and the database are separated. And to process it real time, it's very difficult. Yes, real time to transfer the goldfish from the small fishbowl to the big fishbowl. Therefore, there was an announcement of Dynamo that was announced 2007. The scalable distributed database, it is the base for. And this is the base technology for the NoSQL database today. Our CTO, Werner Vogels, and all the AWS the employees has written this paper. And it has become the savior for the DynamoDB. Not just the scalability, but the schemable design, high availability, and great performance was provided. And all the time that the database managers had been spending, they are liberated from that. And from the infrastructure standpoint, there are still challenges for infrastructure engineers. At the Christmas and the peak seasons, each time you have to benchmark and you have to plan for the capacity and you have to procure the hardware. And in the middle of the night, you have to go to the data center and you have to refresh and replace the hardware and the servers. And now the transformation to cloud, rather than the on-premise, the cloud service. The different business operators don't need to manage the databases, but it's a consolidated cloud service that the people can manage and use. And managed service was the key word. the patch application and the version upgrade and the server installation, which had been conventionally done manually, is all automated and it's offered as a service. Now, fast forwarding to 2012, 3 years ago, we had released DynamoDB. It's a full managed NoSQL service. And people don't have to be well versed in the infrastructure technology. They can quickly begin the database and operate with a few clicks. And it offers the stable performance at the same time as high availability and the robustness and the high performance at the same time as great scalability. The high availability and robustness, there is one strong strength. The 3 availability zones within the region, the data is replicated. Even if one availability zone cannot be accessed anymore, the remaining 2 AZs, the data can be captured and can be accessed, and you can continue with the business. At Tokyo Hands, POS backend system, the DynamoDB was adopted. The high availability, robustness is provided with the DynamoDB, and the mission-critical data such as the sales and the inventory information, they used it as the database to manage such critical data. And a full managed service of DynamoDB, other than that, Lambda, another full managed service, is combined so that the more engineers will be able to focus more on the businesses. Their core business, they will be able to focus on. And they are going to plan on adding other full managed services. DynamoDB is optimized for the IoT and mobile applications. And the mobile application, of course, the need will increase more and more. A San Francisco-based company AdRoll, 60 billion mobile ad transaction is processed a day. And I hear that they're storing more than 500 billion items in a database. And Shazam mobile application vendors, the Super Bowl in the US, it's an event with the view, the TV view of 40% and above. And they have a track record of accepting 500,000 requests per second. And in Japan, Sekisui, Cookpad, and Tokyo Hands are the users. Like startup, Logly, Brainwalls, and Carte services they are using on top of the Cookpad using the metadata processing of the moving images. And Electric Arts is using AWS in order to provisioning of the optimal capacity depending on the traffic. The dynamic capacity is the DynamoDB is used. Marketing activity, contents releases, where the traffic may peak suddenly. At that timing, the DynamoDB capacity is increased. And from MySQL to DynamoDB, by migrating, 90% cost reduction was realized. Earth Network offers the mobile weather forecast application, the weather bug. All over the US, they have the sensors, and by capturing the information from sensors, hurricanes and thunderstorms, the approach is predicted. Such IoT applications, DynamoDB is widely used. By using DynamoDB streams, IoT applications will be able to use DynamoDB for different purposes. DynamoDB stream, it can use the database refresh information from the external applications. This is the example of applications.
from multiple devices to DynamoDB will be able to generate information and utilizing Stream to Lambda to Redshift, Amazon MSS, and machine learning. They are all be able to federate with these capabilities in Redshift, analytics and trend analysis. SNS, it's a device abnormality notification, and machine learning also predicting some of the abnormal event. So these different segregated services are all linked up together so that you'll be able to realize a some set of solutions. The other day, Ayaka Ikezawa have aligned these services and created a serverless architecture. Well, at the developer conference yesterday, this was announced, and these codes is going to be downloadable on the website. Last but not least, to 20 past 2, IoT Big Data presentation will begin from 20 past 2. So if you're interested, I hope to see you at this event. Thank you.
Thanks, Eugene. Really exciting. And as you can see, AWS really offers the best developer tools for developers to build the most exciting applications for enterprises to innovate on their business, to manage their growth, to remain and to become even more competitive. And talking to developers and really making them part of our team is one of the most important things that we do, and we continue doing every day at Amazon. And I really want to stress the importance of how interacting with our developer community is something that has driven innovation throughout our entire product offering. And today, I would like to invite on stage our community hero for Japan, Yokota-san. Please join me on stage.
Hello, everyone. AWS Community Hero Program. I have been certified as a hero. My name is Yokota. Well, normally in Joe's UG Tokyo, I have been the chairperson of the party, and there's also a beer party tonight, and I have been taking the lead of this party section. But utilizing AWS, what does it enable you to do this time? Cloud and mobile. These are some of the keywords that has been presented throughout the session. But this state of the art, of course, technology, how they are being embraced by some of the successful companies, what I would like to share with you today. Akindo Sushiro and Gulliver International. Both companies had selected the so-called all-in strategies, meaning that many of the servers have been already transferred to AWS. And more than that, they are now trying to engage in something of a new initiative. And this is something that I would like to share with this group. The first example, Sushiro already last year, Amazon Kinesis has been free embraced. So all the information about the sushi has been collected in terms of data of the sushi, and then accumulated that on the Redshift, looking at the user behavior and have been able to reduce the waste of how much they need to discard. So the mobile application also has been released to this end, and this mobile application, from outside, you can book your reservation. You need to book your reservation at the store, but now you can do it through the mobile. And the waiting time, in predicting the waiting time, this is a new challenge that has been conducted by Sushiro, Amazon Machine Learning. Already with Kinesis and Redshift, they have been utilizing these two solutions as a new set of challenge. They have decided to introduce machine learning. So this is how it is being configured. So, in other words, the data from the stores and the transactions from the stores through Kinesis, all this information accumulated. And also the store information, the past beanstalk are being utilized. And the data that has been accumulated is going to be processed within Redshift. And the information that has been processed, that will be linked to machine learning, Amazon Machine Learning, and accumulated machine learning, Amazon Machine Learning. In terms of some of the learnings, they would create a model. And the model that has been created, the users through mobile application, when they make the access, how many minutes do you need to wait. This is going to be notified. So it's a real-time prediction. There's a model that has been learned. It's going to be automatically being fed back to the information. And then next is the Gulliver, the company called Gulliver. Gulliver already have multiple servers, which they have transfer to AWS, and this time the new mobile application and business application is what they are engaging on. And in terms of, like in the past, EC2 servers, they have many EC2 servers, and they have been questioning themselves if this is a right approach. They want to introduce cloud native, easier operation and shorter time to market. So in order to do so, Amazon Cognito is AWS Lambda. And also still in a preview stage, DynamoDB streams, they decided to resort to these solution set. So this is the configuration in terms of how they are working this out. This is the schematics. So first of all, mobile application, utilize cognito. There is a user authentication that will be conducted. It's now developer wars, but as have been said, many authentication method could all be realigned together, like Twitter's and Facebook's. And of course, it's an Open ID Connect. It is also comparable, or it also is interoperable with this device. And in Tokyo region, Cognito Sync is utilized in synchronizing the data, as had been announced earlier. And the result of the authentication, the lambda function will be inactivated. So it's a second-hand car, so confirming the inventory and also the audit of the car. And if you update this information through lambda, validation check is going to be inactivated. And also there will be some change in the data, and the data that has been refreshed is going to be stored in DynamoDB. The data that has been stored, if there is a data stored in database, you have to write the SQL trigger, or periodically there needs to be polling in order to confirm the information and the status of the information. But DynamoDB stream through API, this is going to be fully managed. So data that's been accumulated by being event-driven, it could call on the next component. AWS Lambda will be called upon. And from Lambda, push, of course, message is also enabled, so you'll be able to notify the other users as well. So this, by being event-driven, let's say in terms of text that was in data store, you'll be able to pass over to an engine that will look at the whole context and text, and also some of the alliances to the auditing result. And if there's an event, and let's say the data will flow and it will be stored, and the event that has been stored, the next function will be triggered. So this is the flow of how this will take place. In the past, when you tried to create this kind of a diagram, you wanted to write your own proprietary program. But this is going to be offered from the very outset of utilizing these solutions. And this time, I have had the opportunity to introduce these two company case studies, but there's one thing that may come for your interest. They do not use EC2 at all. Well, the company that decided to utilize AWS, the on-premise data is going to be transferred to the cloud. I think this is the first step. This is the so-called the first stage. And the next stage is that not only transferring the data, they are seeking to achieve lower cost or easier operation or easier development. This is the second stage. And then you see an emergence of these services. So cloud native components could be combined effectively together. And by combining them, the developing time frame and window would be minimized. Designing, of course, a window time frame will also be congested, and also operational ease, high availability at the same time. All these services are fully tested. Combining the managed services all together, you'll be able to launch a new business application. So with that being said, the example that I've touched upon, as you can see on the title, is a disruptive technology. And it's not the fact that only utilizing, leveraging AWS, but combining the managed services, you'll be able to initiate your business with a minimum amount of time, and the operational cost and developing costs could be minimized and reduced. So the AWS, we talked about the new normal. And I believe this is indeed true, that it is the new normal. Rather than spending 6 months or 12 months, if you can only come up with the schematics, it's easy to do, maybe half a day, combining the component together and linking them together. And if you're going to activate them, 3 days will be enough. So I hope that you will be able to make your own challenge and initiative. And last but not least, today from 7 p.m., JAWS UG is going to be offered in Tokyo, and I will be working as a background administrator, but there's a LT competition. Within a limited amount of time, they will come up with an exciting presentation. So I hope that you will be expecting a lot out of this event. It will going to be all conducted in an adjacent room.
That's all for my presentation. Thank you.
We talked about mobile first. Mobile as the primary way your customers are interacting with your brand or with your app or with your company, and in particular in the enterprise, mobile first, it's starting to become the primary way your employees are interacting with the systems and the tools that are provided by your corporation. At Amazon, we're delivering on the promise of desktop virtualization and making available your infrastructure and administration tool in your company or enterprise, or end-user desktop and mobile apps available in a way on mobile applications that does not reduce functionality, and actually in some cases enhances functionality because of the characteristics of your mobile device. And to talk about how mobile is transforming the enterprise and a new approach to enterprise mobility, I'm happy to have our colleague and friend, Gene, who runs our enterprise mobility unit in AWS. Is Gene joining me on stage?
Thank you, Marco. Thank you. As Marco said, mobile is in all parts of enterprise today, and mobile applications and the AWS apps are no exception. Customers tell us every day that they want to be able to access all of their enterprise applications and tools from their mobile devices. And so with the services we're building for enterprise applications at Amazon, we're really thinking mobile first. A good example of this, we have 3 new services we've launched in the last year, and all of these are designed to support mobile. First, with virtual desktops with Amazon Workspaces, where they're supported with mobile tablets and laptops. File sharing collaboration with Work Docs, which are supported across a variety of devices, including tablets, smartphones, and browsers. And then our newest service, Amazon Workmail, which is in preview, and that's supported on a wide variety of mobile native mail clients. Here's an example of what the tablet experience looks like on a workspace, where you actually can log into your virtual desktop from a tablet and access all of your enterprise applications and resources. And there's also an example of the tablet implementation of Work Docs. Now what I'd like to do is show you a brief demo video of how Work Docs works on a smartphone. So you can see the Work Docs icon on the phone itself. When you launch the application, the user then signs in and can see a list of their documents. You can see it in multiple different ways. And next we'll show you how you can actually preview that document and then share it with someone in your organization. Once you've shared the document, then the group that you're collaborating with has the ability to then provide comments and feedback on the document. And you can actually see how those comments then show up as annotations in the mobile app. We have a number of customers around the world and in Japan using these tools today. And we're really excited to announce today that Amazon Work Docs is now available in Japanese and in the Tokyo region. So we're really excited to have you go try this new service that's now available in Japan. And to learn more about all of our enterprise applications, I'd invite you to join me this afternoon at a breakout session where we're going to talk in depth about Amazon Workspaces, Amazon Work Docs, and Amazon Workmail. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jake. That's really exciting. So it's time to wrap up. We saw many things today, and I really invite you to participate to many breakout sessions this morning and in the afternoon. Listen to our speakers, go visit our partners in the exhibit. And also, I really would love to see a lot of people from this room and from Japan coming at our next reInvent convention, and this is happening, as you know, this year in October. So please register today. Come many. We want to see a lot of participation from this great crowd and great country. There are two things that I would like you to remember today. One is AWS can greatly help you on the technology side to have the best, more scalable mobile application or enterprise application, but also AWS is a platform for your business. You can drive the growth of your business thanks to a world-class application infrastructure, to world-class tools, and also to really innovative business and pricing models. And with that, I really want to thank you for your participations today, and we're going to see you today later on and at reInvent in October. Thank you so much.
以上で Day2 キーノートを終了いたします。